Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Return of the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster has haunted the Scottish lake for centuries. The most famous photograph of the Loch Ness Monster ever taken has generally been considered a hoax. That is, until now. Scientists are now saying that the picture of the Loch Ness Monster sticking its head out of the lake might actually be real, showing the elusive beast in all of its glory. The scientists determined that if the picture is real, chances are that Nessie isn't a monster at all, but a gigantic eel that was photographed. The team of scientists from New Zealand University of Otago recently took DNA samples from Loch Ness to see what kind of creature was really living in the lake. They took approximately 250 water samples from various locations and depths, then combed through the lingering DNA to discover about 3,000 distinct species of animals. The good news is, they don't need to capture all of the creatures that are out there. They just need to get the water that has been in close proximity to them. Most of them are small, so small they are practically invisible. But according to Neil Gemmell, they also found evidence of a gigantic eel living in the lake. It could be a big eel or even a family of big eels, and people have been mistaking them for actual monsters. Ordinary eels grow to be about 6 feet long, which would mean the eels living in Loch Ness are some kind of unknown giant breed. Most people who see the monster describe it as being at least 10 or 15 feet long, sometimes even longer. That could mean that the lake has some of the biggest undiscovered freshwater eels in the world. It still hasn't been confirmed, but it is one of the more compelling theories that explain the mystery of the Loch Ness Monster. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Number 9. The Maryland Cryptid Museum. There is a very strange story that involves the basement of a mansion, an eccentric archaeologist, and a lot of specimens in boxes. As far as the story goes, a man by the name of Thomas Theodore Maryland died in the 1960s. After he passed, a small collection of unbelievable oddities and fantastic creatures was discovered in the basement of his mansion. He had preserved mermaids, gnomes, baby dragons, aliens, vampires, fairies, and even demonic pharaohs from Egypt. The specimens in the boxes are partly skeletal, some with their original tissue, and some still preserved with fur or feathers. There are many bizarre creatures in this collection, things like mummified werewolves and rotting dinosaurs. None of the specimens have been officially examined by any kind of biologist or scientist, and a lot of the pieces are so outrageous, it makes you wonder just who exactly was Thomas Theodore Maryland, and where did he get the tiny mummified remains of a creature titled Menace, Vampire King of Egypt, the Demon Child Pharaoh? What was he doing hoarding all of these oddities in his basement? In the end, these things are wild and outrageous because they were designed to be that way by an artist named Alex C.F. He created the specimens to showcase his curious talents in creativity and taxidermy, as well as his ghoulish imagination. By combining bits and pieces of real animals, he could help shine a light on what many of these cryptid monsters could actually look like. Number 8. The West Branch Dagong. In Pennsylvania, there is a landscape called the Susquehanna Greenway. It's full of colorful, pristine wilderness, bubbling rivers, and it is steeped in rich culture and history. It's a place where families go biking, hiking, and canoeing. It's also shrouded in mystery, as the locals say a creature lurks just out of sight. The creature has many different names, from the West Branch Dagong to the Susquehanna Seal, and even the Kettle Creek Monster. But whichever name you want to call it, it's all the same creature. It's a marine monster that was seen repeatedly by people in the area over 100 years ago. Take the article from the Daily Democrat newspaper on February 27, 1897. The article described how the creature had been living in the valley before it was ever settled by Europeans. Then, when the Europeans showed up, it settled between Loch Haven and Kettle Creek, and it occasionally capsized lumber rafts and maybe even killed people. It was described as being the size of a hippopotamus, yet not born from the imagination of any living person on Earth. It was so horrible that it could give you nightmares. and it often kept forestry workers up at night with its incessant howling and thrashing. However, reports of the creature dwindled as the decades went on, and by the late 1900s, many people believed the creature had either escaped back to the ocean or simply died. That being said, creepy things have been witnessed in the waters of the Susquehanna River as recently as the year 2000. That was when outdoor guide and writer Ken Maurer he saw a huge creature swimming in the river, something that looked like a submarine about to surface. Whatever it was absolutely enormous and pushed up a huge wake of water as it came toward Ken. But just before it revealed itself, the monster sank back under the surface and vanished. Number 7. Human-headed creature. On a beach in England, a gigantic sea creature washed ashore. The monster was 48 feet long, had a hard shell attached to its back, and a head that looked human. It was discovered on the sandy shores of Porthlevin Beach back on September 14, 1786. This is an older discovery, but there are plenty of historical records. According to the reports of the day, it all happened during a particularly violent storm. The wind was howling, the waves were huge and violent. The coastal villagers hid and trembled in their houses. Then, when the storm finally settled, something had been left behind. It was the size of an ordinary whale, first found by a pair of boys who were looking for shipwrecks on the beach. The boys soon gathered up some adults, and the villagers crowded around the beached monster, not knowing what to do or what it was. All of these details were put into the Hereford Journal in October of 1786. Back in the 18th century, people were still extremely superstitious and fast to believe in monsters. The general consensus was that the thing that washed up was a gigantic mermaid or a biblical beast. There were some rational villagers who thought it was just a beached whale, but they were the minority. In the end, the villagers stabbed and beat the thing until it was extremely dead, and that way they could truly examine it. The creature had a large head with human-like features, a flat nose, and a large mouth. It had greenish, intelligent eyes, and on its back was a hard shell like an oblong turtle shell. Its forefeet were short and looked more like monkey paws, but it also had fins that helped it swim. It looked like a hybrid mutant, and nothing else like it has ever been seen on the shores of England again. And now for number 6. But first, want to give a big shout out to Anabolic Aliens and Gorilla. Thanks so much for spending time with us. If you are new here, welcome, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 6. Mississippi Troll. In Mississippi, someone took a photo of something that they believe is a real-life troll. The picture was taken in a swampy area beside a river, showing a small humanoid being just kind of loitering in the water. The photographer was on the dock beside their family houseboat and was looking across the low tide and into the forest on the other side of the water. And that was when they saw the creature emerge from the trees, approach the river, and begin to drink. According to what the photographer said happened, they went to get a pair of binoculars to watch the creature from a safe distance. It had weird pink skin, bulging and unnatural eyes, and floppy ears and horns. It looked to them exactly like a troll. But this isn't where the story ends. The person who took the picture went on to describe their life living on a houseboat in the Mississippi swamp. They said that anyone who ever visited their houseboat got the weird feeling that they were being watched, and that it wasn't unusual to hear the sound of screaming in the trees at night. This person believes that Mississippi is home to a mysterious race of little trolls, and that they hide in the swamps and are basically impossible to find. Number 5. The Dogman. Yet another bizarre unidentified creature was seen recently in the United States, this time by a riverside in Texas. A fisherman spotted the creature with his camera, which he described as a half-man, half-dog monster. He was able to record a bit of it on video, but the issue is that the footage is incredibly grainy and looks like an old recording of Bigfoot from the 1990s. The footage was shot near San Benito, and honestly, whatever the creature is, it does kind of look like Bigfoot. It can be seen padding along the banks of the river just like a dog or a wolf, but then it suddenly gets off its 4 legs and stands up to be the height of a grizzly bear. It becomes huge when it stands and looks like it has a body of shaggy hair, just like Sasquatch. Nobody has been able to confirm the creature's identity. It's most likely not a dog-man hybrid, but it could have potentially been some sort of Texas Bigfoot. According to some more scientific minds, the creature was just a really big monkey. Seeing as how many wild animal zoos there are in Texas, that's not entirely out of the question either. Number 4. The Brosno Dragon. The Brosno Dragon is a strange monster that supposedly lives deep in the Russian wilderness. Its existence has never been confirmed, but it's still a realistic and terrifying entity to the people of rural Russia. Some believe the creature is a mutant beaver. Some say it's a giant pike that's been growing for over 150 years. And others say it's nothing at all but a fantasy. This is one of the weirder cases in that scientists may have actually come up with a logical explanation for the Brosno Dragon. Because the beast is said to lurk in Lake Brosno, it could be nothing but random bursts of gas in the shape of a dragon. Basically, when hydrogen sulfide bubbles up from the bottom of the lake, it bursts through the surface of the water and kind of resembles a dragon's head. There is a theory that says the lake is inside of a sleeping volcanic crater, and that a fissure at the bottom is responsible for leaking the gas, kind of like a burst gas line in a basement. But then again, it could be a real monster. The legends go all the way back to the 13th century, and people as recently as World War II claimed that a German airplane was swallowed whole by something massive in the lake. Number 3. The Aya Napa Sea Monster. The Aya Napa Sea Monster supposedly lives off the coast of Cyprus in the Mediterranean Sea. Local fishermen call it the to filikoteras, or the friendly monster. This is because there haven't been any reports of the monster breaking ships or hurting people. However, some fishermen do claim the creature rises from the depths to drag away their fishing nets. Like many strange mythical beasts of the sea, the Aya Napa monster has been witnessed countless times. Newspapers call it the Loch Ness Monster of Cyprus, although nobody is entirely sure what it is. Some say it looks like a crocodile, while others say it's really a giant serpent. Sadly, there isn't actually any evidence that the creature exists. No one has ever been able to take a decent photograph of it, and the government of Cyprus is unwilling to identify it as a hoax because they make too much money from tourists. People from all over Europe come to Aya Napa just to rent boats and spend their days looking for the monster. Number 2. The Pale Creep. An unbelievable video recently appeared online. The video shows a very strange creature moving around some parked cars in the middle of the night. It's as pale as a ghost, and kind of looks like a pasty white Neanderthal that accidentally tunneled its way to the surface and got lost. According to the caption in the video, the creature was caught on a security camera near Moorhead, Kentucky, back in July of 2022. We still have no answers as to what the pale creature was that stalked Moorhead in the middle of the night. Some say it was just a hoax, dreamt up by someone to get likes online. Others think it was a Kentucky ghoul, and that it probably retreated back to the forest and will never be seen again. And honestly, if the footage is 100% real, it's impossible to say what the thing was. It was definitely humanoid in nature, and could as easily have been a person in white spandex as a ghost. Number 1. Ugly deep-sea creature. An unknown creature was just caught in deep waters off the coast of southern Australia. The fisherman who caught it described the creature as the ugliest thing he'd ever seen. The man who had the unfortunate privilege of hooking this fish is Jason Moyse. He's a popular fisherman on social media and always shows the amazing things he reels in off the coast of Bermagui, about 240 miles from Sydney. But this time, he was truly stumped. He shared a picture of the hideous, mottled, pinkish black thing online to see if anyone could help him identify it. Jason and the captain had been fishing their whole lives and didn't have a clue what it was. Some people compared it to the Stranger Things monster from the Upside Down, but it could just be a blobfish. The blobfish has already been declared the ugliest fish in the world, so it wouldn't be a far stretch. However, as far as we know, this one was a truly unidentified creature, a thing pulled from over 1,700 feet deep, where the sun barely shines. Thanks for watching! What's the craziest monster that you think might actually be real? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!